Welcome to the Louie Herron podcast, where I'm going deep into business, sales, leadership, and life. And I mean life, from the boardroom to the bedroom, from business acquisitions to personal addictions, from being saved yet still feeling like a slave, from manning up to mousing out, dealing with divinity to reality. This podcast is dedicated to growth, learning, inspiration, and healing. Jump in, hang on, and hang out. You'll never know which topic I'll tackle next. But one thing's for certain, I'm here to share my experiences, strengths, failures, and hope, all to help us live life at the highest level we can. Test the mic. Hello. Good day, men. Hope today serves you well. This is Louie Herron coming to you with another episode that is close to my heart, actually resonates with me at a deep level, and I think it also resonates with anyone striving for some greatness in business and in life. I mean, what I'm going to cover today, I think, really will have a huge impact, and like always, some reciprocity. If you find what we share as value, share it with some folks, especially in your business, right? You have sales reps, you have people that are close to you that all of us need a little pick-me-up, a little boost, a little perspective that allows us to drive ourselves with some purpose, and I think that's really what we're looking for. As I talked about in a few other episodes, it's about expansion, right? It's about growing. It's about having a greater capacity to handle things that come our way. And again, today we're going to delve into the concept of playing with some pain, some discomfort. What do we do when problems arise? That's a topic that, if you're in business, if you're selling, if you're leading people, if you're married, if you have children, we're going to have some pain. I mean, we're going to have some discomfort. It was funny. This topic came to me actually when I was in the gym. I've had this pain, man, down in my neck that has driven itself down to my arm, and I've had it probably 3 months, and it was doing pretty well. And then all of a sudden, I'm in the gym, and like, bam, I hear it and feel it, and I'm like, shit. So what do? Right? I have a decision to make, right? I have to listen to my body. Do I want to continue to move forward, or do I want to play with the pain? I like to play with the pain. Being a knucklehead, like most men, we just kind of just keep moving forward until something doesn't work anymore, or we have to go to the doctor. But let's talk about sports for a minute. In the realm of sports, playing with pain really is a testament to an athlete's resilience in business and as well in life. I mean, the pain isn't always physical though, but the principle remains the same. Whether it's the sting of rejection or maybe the ache of the failing venture, where we put things together and they don't succeed. Maybe it's the discomfort of stepping out of your comfort zone. Uh, Pain is inevitable. It's a companion that we must take with us on the road to succeed. That's just the bottom line. But I also think that when you look at pain or you look at problems, there's something really we need to note. When we have an issue that arises or we experience pain or something that stalls us, I think we really need to go to kind of the five human needs that we have, because really the pain of the problem is affecting one of these needs. This in itself is an entire podcast. As I was kind of putting it together, I thought, man, this would be great to go into as well. But I'm just going to hit these five physical needs that we need as human beings, and when we encounter pain or discomfort in any kind, relational, work related, sales related, rejection, these things are going to arise. And I think it's important for you to at least have that vantage point to understand, what is it affecting when you run across a problem. Which one of these is it affecting? The first one is psychological needs. So what is a psychological need? It's autonomy, it's competence, it's relatability, relatedness. In other words, when your psychological need is compromised, that means your autonomy, your ability to work within your own confines, is being jeopardized, or your competence is being challenged, or maybe you don't feel like you're relating to somebody, and that's causing you a problem. The second one is safety needs, right? That's just strictly security and protection. And the bottom line, if you're running into a problem or you're experiencing some pain, it could be that your security, financial security, emotional security, you don't feel protected. You feel out on a limb. You feel on an island. You feel isolated. The third one is basic love and belonging needs. What are these? These are the friendship, the intimacy, your family, love. Believe it or not, when you experience pain or problems, take a hard look. Is your friendships or maybe the connection and intimacy being compromised? What is the pain or the problem causing you? Are you running into something with your family? You're running into something with feeling not loved. Again, when you hear that, you think, as businessmen, as men in general, we think to ourselves, love, like, yeah, yeah, love, 100% love. And when it all comes down to it, love and compassion is really what it's all about. We may mask up or cover up or make it seem as if we're this leader, this quintessential dictator. And you know what? Those with those personalities, there's nothing wrong with that. That's their DNA, and they're successful in doing that. But remember, anyone's strength overused becomes a weakness. So it doesn't matter which side of the spectrum that you lie on. If we overuse our strength, it goes against us. And when we experience pain or problems, you need to see if love or your belonging needs are being compromised. The fourth one is esteem needs. This is a big one. You think about your self-esteem, esteem. What is that? It's the need to gain recognition, status, respect. When you're running into a problem, when you're running into some pain, some resistance, is you being recognized, being compromised? Maybe your status, maybe you're jockeying for a position, you're trying to position yourself and manipulate the outcome. We all do it. Again, it doesn't make you right or wrong, good or bad. It just means that's what we do. But that's what we want to work on. We want to be free of that and be authentic and let the chips fall where they may. Right? How about your respect? Is that being compromised? In the workplace, it happens all the time. But the last one is self-actualization needs. Right? So this is important because really this is the need or the feeling of what we're meant to do or who we're called to be or who we're meant to be. In the very first episode, we talked about who are you? Who are you? And again, I kind of you made a reference of, hey, I don't want the stats. Don't give me the scorecard that you're a dad or your husband or you're a business owner or you own real estate or you're in the insurance business or your financial services business. Those are all the things that you do. It's not necessarily who you are, and it's not necessarily your end game. How many of us go into life, go into business, go into with one expectation up front, which is primarily to make money? That's the bottom line. We're in it to make money, to improve our financial situation, which is why we go to high school, we go to college, we get a good job, we work for a big company, blah, blah, blah. All this stereotypical thinking, but the goal is to earn income to be financially stable, right? Goes back to the safety needs, right? Security. But in the end, the self-actualization needs are the most important. And until you or I, and I'm still on the quest, what am I meant to do? I look at my life and my journey as a car dealer, car person in the car industry. That's what I've done for 30 years. Man, to take a branch and go a different direction, to be a communicator, a speaker, an author, to step on a stage, to impact people's lives, to do the things that maybe I feel like I'm called to do in my core, requires, it's a risk. It's a risk. How am I going to get paid? Who are you going to connect with? But in the end, if us, we don't look at what we're meant to do, the feeling of what we're meant to do will totally eat you away because at some point you can have all the money in the world. And I can tell you, there's a lot more successful entrepreneurs and business owners than me in this world, I promise you. But I've had the opportunity to amass $7, $8 million in net worth at one point. It did not change my life. I wasn't unique in the sense that I didn't have any problems because I had more money. No, I had just as many problems when I was working my way up. The money will eventually get itself to a point to where it's like, okay, you've got all the stuff you want. Now what? Now what? That's the question. Now what? So again, when you're thinking about pain or problems, things that arise, which one of these five are being challenged? Your psychological needs, your safety needs, your love and belonging, your esteem needs, your self-actualization needs. Something is being compromised. These are the things that pain presents to us, right? At the core, this is really what's rearing its head and what's coming up. But if we shift gears for a minute and we talk business, they say no pain, no gain, right? But in the entrepreneurial world, this pain can be the long hours, financial uncertainty. I mean, I can tell you from personal experience, working in a dealership, running a car dealership, owning a car dealership, having parts and service and sales and internet and accounting and all these departments and these people underneath. Man, I've got chances to win, to offset losses. It's kind of like owning an apartment complex versus owning one or two rentals. If those one or two rentals are empty, I'm dead. But with an apartment complex, I may have 100 units. And if one or two are not rented, I'm okay. But when you're an entrepreneur, that financial uncertainty, that weight, right, of the decision making or the harsh reality of an idea just not panning out. You put together your plan, you muster up the courage, the energy, you get some certainty, and then boom, you hit a wall. Then what? Right? That's that problem. That is that discomfort, that pain. Right. But the key is to acknowledge the pain, not as a setback, but truthfully as a stepping stone. I mean, when a deal falls through or when the market shifts unexpectedly, that's your pain to play with. In those moments of the discomfort, that's where we find room for innovation and pivoting. I'll give you a great example story one time. I had a dealership. I had a couple of dealerships, 3 to be exact, and also had an independent lot. But one of the stores that I had, we had a situation where I had to buy back some car deals. And unfortunately, in the car industry, if some of your people aren't handling their business properly, some of the banks will review some of the deals, and if they find some things that are inaccurate or even err on the side of unethical, they'll call you under the carpet and make you buy back some of these car deals. Well, that happened in a situation that I was in at one of my stores. And it was fairly substantial for me at the time. It was like, $1,000,000, and I agreed to pay it back, and agreed to do it in 24 months, and no problem. I was getting it done, doing the right thing, not had no issues with it, owned it. I may not have constructed the deals, I may not have put those deals together, but my people did, and I had to own it. I was the owner. That caused me massive discomfort. Massive discomfort. It required me to have massive innovation to figure out how the hell am I gonna put this deal back together? How am I gonna sell cars and pay back at the same time? Mind you, the store was not a high volume store, so the cup didn't runneth over. I mean, the store was making 55 to $100,000 a month in net income, but when you're writing checks for 50, 60, $70,000 for a period of 24 months, it could be very dicey. But I remember one time as I sat there, and this is a pivoting moment, right? We're talking about innovation and pivoting. And I remember I came back to the dealership and I'm sitting in my office and my hands are on my face and I'm like, shit, man, I'm looking at my cash sheet. I'm looking at the contracts in transit. I'm seeing exactly how much has to be paid to the bank today. I'm looking at my bank account and I could see that literally I was 30 grand short. Like literally, if everything cashed, I'm 30 grand in the deficit that particular day. And I had to manage this like on a weekly basis to get through this mess. And I remember sitting there and one of my vendors came in and he looked at me and said, "Man, bro, what's going on? You look like you're distraught." And I'm like, "Man, this whole situation just got me bent, man." I'm like tight. I'm like real tight. He looks at me, and let me just back up. When I was in the office, I literally took time to sit there and pray, and it wasn't one of those Hail Mary prayers. I mean, my faith in God has always been a very firm foundation for me. Um, again, and not that I'm Jesus or I'm the Messiah or I'm perfect by any means, because I've got my own set of sins. There's no doubt about that. But I had a moment. I said, God, uh, please allow something to break through to relieve the tension, this problem, this comfort that I'm feeling. And I shit you not, a man walks in. I'm not going to tell his name. I would. I'd give him all the acknowledgments. And it was a vendor that I've used for probably, I don't know, 15 years, close friend as a vendor, and he looks at me and says, "Man, you look like you're distraught." I went through the whole thing with him, which he was already aware because I shared with him because he was a buddy. And he says, "How much do you need?" I said, "Excuse me?" He said, "How much do you need?" Now, mind you, at this particular time, I hadn't borrowed a penny in my life from any discomfort, any pain, any problem situation. I've never even been in that situation. I've never been in a position where I had to. Things were managed pretty tight and right, and I was very fortunate along the business path. He looks at me and I said, "Man, I'll be honest with you. If I had 100 grand, he'd give me some breathing room." He says, "Done." I said, "What?" "Let me make a phone call. Give me a second." He walks out of the office, walks back in. He says, "Look, I got to call my partner real quick. Get on the phone. Let's give him a call." Within 5 days, I had $100,000. I was like, wow. Again, call it divine intervention, call it whatever you want. But again, innovation, pivoting, people in the right spots, the right time, calling on your higher power, all these pain points and problems and discomfort that arises in our life, they're there to help us grow. I have that story to share as a testament, as a testimony to you today to tell you don't quit, man. Don't give up, man. Don't stop the process. Is it hard? Freaking really hard. It's really hard. Some of your marriages, it's about to bust. It's about to fold. It's hard. Been there. Don't give up. Keep fighting, keep fighting, keep fighting, keep fighting. Do your part, do your part. Have some certainty and know that things will work. Look, in the end, it's not about avoiding the pain. It's about channeling it into something that's transformative. I believe everything happens for a specific reason for us to grow and get better in every facet of our life. I think it's important to really identify, look, pain is temporary. Nothing lasts forever. I didn't have that dealership forever. I owned that particular store for, 4 years, owned another store for 6 years. One before that was another 3.5 years. Look, pain's not forever. Good times are not forever. Harmony and disharmony is gonna go up, it's gonna go down. Harmony, disharmony. Again, it's polarity. It's good, it's bad. It's right, it's wrong. It's up, it's down. It's visible, it's invisible. It's left and right. It's front, it's back. Look, they're opposites. What we have to realize and understand is pain's temporary. We can't stay in that negative space long. This always is an opportunity for us to change the story that we've written in our head. Look, when a problem arises and it's a problem that festers and maybe even continues to come up, whether it's in the workplace with employees and it's a same problem over and over, we have a story that we've written about this problem. And until we change that story, nothing's going to change. Take work, for example. You know, you may say the story may be if you're an employee and you're in the sales game, why can't I ever hit that number? Why do I always shoot for 20 cars, 15 contracts? Why can't I ever hit that number? That's the story that you tell yourself. Why can't I hit it? Is your story. Change the story. Entrepreneur, man, this is tough, man. I'm alone. I'm by myself. Got one employee, no employees, two employees. Haven't made a sale, haven't sold a product, haven't moved my business forward. This is the story. Until we change the story, it's going to be the same. Relationships, whether it's work related or personally related, this will never change. She'll never change. I'm never gonna change. That is a story. You can change, right? Don't be so arrogant to think that you're unique, because you're not unique. I don't care what level you're at, who you're at, what business you own, how many businesses you own. You could be Mark Cuban. You could be, it doesn't matter. As successful as we think on the outside, you're not unique. All of us experience these same type of pain points, this discomfort, right? And it all goes back to the 5 human needs and what it affects. So again, I think we're all gonna experience the pain, but we don't all process the pain the same. Pain is actually a really good thing for a short period of time. Go back when I was telling you about the story that had me motivated as a young kid when I left my house at 18 years old. That was some pain. Pain was good. What made that pain bad is it didn't last 18 to 19. It wasn't a short period for me. That pain continued to motivate, and it turned negative on me, and it was the fuel that I used. Had I been able to process it or have the understanding, then I probably could have made that a lot better situation even in my adulthood. But I think one of the things we gotta focus on is we gotta do the work. When we run into pain, we gotta do some of the work. We gotta process it. We gotta think through it. We gotta take inventory. What's going on? When did it happen? Why did it happen? How often does it happen? When I say process, I'm telling you guys over the course of this last year, we're not talking about my life, or this last year, I literally have learned the process of asking myself, something comes up, what am I feeling? What part of me is having an issue with that? Where is it coming from? Where is it rooted in? 9 times out of 10, when I've got a problem with somebody, the problem's with me. It ain't got nothing to do with what I think is the problem. It's got to do with me, my own feelings of either rejection or of, abandonment or lack of respect or whatever's going on in my head. So you gotta take inventory. You gotta write these things down if you're gonna improve. You gotta do the work. Again, I think it's critical to put these things in place. But again, I can honestly say that I've begun to do this work with myself, and I've never done it in the past. And again, and by not doing it in the past, created more of the same that I experienced in my past. But if I begin to expect pain, then all of a sudden that becomes my way of life. In other words, I need the pain to perform or achieve. This was my dysfunction for so many years. I actually things could be going pretty good, but no, 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 no. Let me stop it because I actually need the pain to piss me off to get me going. Like I need the dysfunction because that's what I was used to because I never processed it. So again, it's not the right angle to go, and in the end, it will implode. Some people say this is not what I signed up for. Others use it for an opportunity to grow and pivot and expand. So again, I just encourage you to rewrite the story, man. Rewrite the story. I'll tell you real quick. Look, there's a big difference for me to say that I'm an entrepreneur or a successful entrepreneur. I want you to think about that as you're processing what you do, the goals that you have. There's a big difference for me or for you to say you are something versus being a successful something. Let me break it like this. I can say I'm a football player. What does it mean I'm going to get paid to do it? Just because you play football doesn't mean you're going to be successful at football. So the bottom line is, for me, it is, whatever your truth is about you, whatever your truth is about you, the real truth. Okay, you're a teacher, you're a leader, you're a businessman, you're a marketer. You will always over-index and succeed if you own that truth. And I'm not coming to you from a perspective of talking at you. I actually like need this information and this content to myself. It's a reminder to anchor in who am I supposed to be in this world? Why did God put me on this planet? I believe that he didn't put me on this planet to recreate, procreate, do a few deals and die. Go back to self-actualization. There is something bigger I'm called to do. There's something bigger you're called to do. But you get in, like me, in the mundane of life, the routine of life, where you no longer even believe or see those things for yourself anymore. But the reality is, you're meant to do more. But you've got to own your truth. You got to own what you do. That doesn't mean you can't get better or improve. I'll give you an example using myself. I'm a vendor now. I'm an operator. Like if I look at my car business experience, Louie, I am a operator. I can go into any car store in the country right now and put everything I have on it and guarantee I'm gonna turn that store. I don't care what the situation is. I'm gonna go turn the store. I'm gonna go look at 4 or 5 key areas and I'm gonna make it go. I know I can do that. I'm an operator. But now, in being an operator, I know myself in the sense that I need to be with people, right? I'm a leader, I'm a motivator, I'm a teacher, I'm a coach, I'm a promoter, I drive traffic, I collaborate with people, I make them feel good about themselves, I inspire them, I want to get them to another level. These are some of the things that I do when I'm an operator, but now I'm a vendor. Now I'm a vendor selling my services to other operators. Oh man. So am I still in my truth? Well, I believe I am. But the deal is I'm not around a bunch of people. I'm alone. I have one other person that helps me on a daily basis with my business. So to be successful for me, I need to infuse my truth into what I'm doing. So what does that mean? If I'm a vendor, right? So I'm starting a podcast that has nothing to do with my business. It's again sharing my zeal, my enthusiasm, my experiences on life and business and leadership and my lessons, my failures, man, the things that I've done. I'm like, oh my gosh, if I could go back and change this, man, I'd change it in a minute because I know it's affected me in an adverse way. And so again, you got to operate in your truth. You got to totally operate in your truth. And when you do that, you're going to over-index, even if you think you're going to fail. And I can tell you from experience, if you don't think for a moment, me being by myself, not in a dealership world where I'm very, very familiar, that I don't get scared, I don't lose or have some doubt. Oh my gosh, of course I do. But I got to go snap back right into certainty. What are you working? What are you doing? I got stuff that's working. I got stuff that I can get done. I know I can make it happen. And so I think the same thing, be it for you, is you got to know what your truth is. Let's move into sales for just a quick second. And we're talking about pain and discomfort. We're talking about experiencing some problems, but even in the sales side, sales is about rejection. I mean, a lot of it, right? I can sit here and make a lot of calls to the point where people start avoiding my calls. It's so crazy because I would be in a car dealership making calls to customers as a salesperson or as a manager and have to get creative on how I can get them to pick up the phone. Now I'm a vendor. And guys that I know in the industry would gladly pick up the call, but now they know I'm a vendor. So now I get my calls avoided. Doesn't mean they're bad. They don't have time for that right now. Just like a consumer may not have time to make a decision on your product or service, right? But there's a lot of rejection. But every no is actually a lesson. It's a moment to refine your pitch, to understand your customer better, come back a little stronger, figure out a new way to contact them, be more creative. Pain of rejection, to me, is really the forge in which the steel of your resolve is tested and actually strengthened, right? To me, in the sales game, we've got to get more reps. That's the bottom line. If you're selling a product or service, all you need is more reps, reps, reps. You need to be in the gym, man. You need to be in the gym. It's the only thing that's going to make you better. In other words, you got to pick up that phone, pick up that phone, pick up that phone, shake someone's hand, go back to the service department if you're working like in the car industry. You've got to continue to constantly get reps. You got to be in front of people strengthen yourself, to get yourself to this resolve to where the rejection is not a rejection, the no is not a no. The no really in my world just means KNOW. Doesn't mean NO, like no, I'm rejecting you. It means KNOW. I don't know enough about you, your product, your service, your company for me to make a decision at this present moment. Do your job and sell me on what I need to know so I can make a well-informed decision. It teaches you resilience. And when you learn to play with this pain, you turn potential defeats into the foundation of your sales strategy. If you flip gears, let's go to the leadership side. All right. It's all about bearing the brunt so others can march forward. If you're in an environment where you're leading people, man, that you got to carry the load, right? You got to take the heat when things aren't going well, and you should be giving all the props to your people when things go well. When things are going great, you pat them on the back and let them know, hey guys, without you couldn't be done, because that's the truth. I look at a car dealership and I look at the two most valuable positions in the car industry, and they're all valuable, by the way. But the sales staff, the sales reps, and the service technicians, these are the guys that are on the front lines that are getting the deal done on a daily basis, right? So again, for me, you and I have to learn to play with this pain. We have to turn the potential defeat into the foundation of the sales strategy. We're talking about with leadership in particular, when you're facing the brunt of these tough decisions, the weight of the responsibility, and often you feel lonely at the top. But this pain is not just to be endured. Like honestly, it's to be wielded. And so, like, if I look up the word wielded in the dictionary, it means hold or use. It's to be wielded, it's to be held or used. In other words, this loneliness, this pain is not to be endured, it's to be held on to. Like, this is not a rite of passage, but this is what gives you the determination. It teaches you compassion, understanding, and the true meaning of teamwork. You know, you look at any football team, and I'm a football guy, love the Miami Dolphins, but I'm a football guy. You got 11 guys on the field. You got 52 that practice. You got 11 guys that play. When those 11 guys are on the field, those guys should be in unison, should be in sync. These guys have bled, sweat, they've worked hard together. They should know exactly what's going on. And that football team has compassion. They have an understanding of each other. They understand the meaning of teamwork. Why can't we do that in our business? Why can't we do that even a step further in our families? I'm not saying it's easy, right? There's a lot of dynamics that play into that. But when you play with pain as a leader, you show that vulnerability is not a weakness. It's actually a huge strength. It's a channel for connecting and really strengthening your team. I mean, remember, the pain of growth as a leader is not a burden. In my world, I think it's a badge of honor. And it signifies that you're pushing the boundaries, you're challenging the status quo. And that's where true leadership actually thrives. Taking that and really moving forward and pushing the boundary of the status quo. What people think they expect of you versus you being in your true authentic self and pushing those boundaries. Lastly, let's touch on this last piece on relationships. Again, we could take this as personal relationships. You could look at this as professional relationships, but like any other, they all involve their share of challenges. We all know that. It can be very difficult and very challenging to communicate because the miscommunications, the conflicts, and the demands of collaboration can cause the strain. And again, when you're experiencing the pain, when you're experiencing the problem, I want you to go back. What 5 needs are being affected? Right? Is it your psychological, your safety, your love and belonging needs? Is it your esteem? You're not feeling recognized, you're not feeling respected? You gotta really dial this stuff down and process. That's what doing the work really is all about. Playing with pain in a relationship means listening actively, empathizing, and transforming the friction into a force that binds rather than separates. Man, that's a whole nother podcast. That's a mouthful because really, when you think about friction and the force that we have in relationships, it tends to separate. We get to a misunderstanding, a disagreement. We agree to disagree. 2 different perspectives, 2 different worlds, 2 different truths, and both parties are in their truth. They are committed and convicted of what they believe, and that causes a separation sometimes. But again, I think whether it's your colleagues, your clients, your team, I think we embrace those conversations, those moments of tension, because that's where the trust is built and the partnerships really are fostered. So, look, I think if you look at your pains in your business, You look at your pains in your sales efforts. You look at your pains in your leadership, your personal responsibilities. I mean, your personal relationships, not necessarily as roadblocks, but if you look at this like they're rungs on a ladder of your personal growth and your professional growth. I mean, it's like sports. Like the game goes on, regardless of the pain or how you play that defines the outcome. The game goes on. So I want to give you four quick things as we conclude and wrap this up. And I hope you've enjoyed this because really there's a lot more meat to this thing that we could really go into. But I think it's huge because none of us are unique enough to think or arrogant enough to think that you're not going to experience pain, problems, or discomfort. I don't care if you got 9 zeros in the bank or you got 3 zeros in the bank. You're going to experience these same things. But let me give you four things that I think, and I'll take this playing with pain thing in a professional setting, but I think you can really adapt all four, even in a personal relation. But I think the first thing you have to do is you have to acknowledge and understand the pain. We talked about processing. First and foremost, just recognize the pain you're experiencing and know, or try to understand, is this the pain of rejection, failure, or could this actually be an opportunity of growth? Understanding that the nature of your discomfort is absolutely critical. It's crucial. And once you've identified it, you can begin to address it constructively. But you have to be open minded, right? You have to have the willingness, the open mindedness. Reflect on what this pain is actually teaching you about your business, maybe your team members, or maybe your own limits. This reflection, in my opinion, can convert pain from a mere obstacle to a guidepost on your journey to success. I want to go back to what I said before of processing. Acknowledging and understanding pain requires work. It means you literally get out your journal, and we hadn't even talked about morning routines. We haven't even talked about some of those things that I will gladly get into that I think have impact, but you got to process it. You've got to process. You have to acknowledge the pain, the problem, the situation, and understand it. Understand that you got to pivot and have some innovation. Know that it's for your own good, and ultimately, look, God's got a plan for everything we go through. Everything we go through. There is no accident. There is no happenstance. I would believe most of you believe that. Things just don't. People say sometimes, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe that just happened. That was unbelievable." Well, I don't even know why we would say it's unbelievable. Believe it. It just happened. Like, it just happened. So believe it. There's always a positive that's going to come from the pain you're experiencing, and it'll always be typically upon reflection. So you got to acknowledge and understand the pain. Number two, I think you need to adopt a growth mindset. To me, this is just cultivating a mindset that views challenges as opportunities to learn and grow rather than the insurmountable barriers you may feel, right? The uncertainty you may feel. But this shift in perspective can transform how you approach pain now, and more importantly, how you're going to approach the pain going forward. You're going to be more prepared. You're going to have a better understanding. Instead of allowing it to derail your efforts, use it as a motivation to improve your strategies, develop higher resilience, and really push beyond your current capabilities. Embrace the mantra that every setback really is a setup for something that's going to be a comeback. You've heard that cliche before, but it is really true. You really got to embrace the resilience that's being developed. And part of growing is really just understanding that you got to have that capacity to understand it. And the container, which we talked about in the very first episode, the first episode, the container. Some people have a little jar as their container. That's all they can hold, man. I mean, shit, that's all they can put in their brain that's fragile. They got a little jar. Some people have, a trash can. Their container is bigger. Some people have a dumpster. I mean, they can contain a lot. Well, the more bigger your container, the more capacity you have to improving it better. But when we're narrow-minded, limited on our thinking, you're operating from a jar. So again, adopt a growth mindset. The third one is implement strategic pivots. So again, we're talking about when pain arises, when going through, you got to implement some pivot points. How can you modify and move when faced with these painful situations? I think your flexibility is key. This may mean that pivoting your approach to sales or reevaluating your business model or altering your leadership style. I don't know what it may be for you. I will tell you that I don't think when you experience some pain that you need to reset your targets. I think if you set a target, you stay true to your target, okay, because I think you can grow to your target, but some of you may have to change and alter your leadership style. Innovation often comes from a necessity, right? So use pressure points as a catalyst for change. Don't stay in the negativity long, but use it as a catalyst. Remember that it's not really about, scrapping your plan, at the first sign of discomfort. Like just throw the whole thing out. That's not what I'm trying to suggest. It's about making calculated adjustments to navigate through adversity. If you've done the work, if you've literally looked at your problems, processed your problems, put them on paper, get out that journal. How many times does this come up? Is this the third time, the fifth time? Who keeps doing it? Is it the third time, the fifth? Like if you start to analyze and look at some of these things, you can really move forward by implementing strategic pivots, not throwing the whole thing out. And the last thing I'll share with you, and as entrepreneurs or business people or men that have egos, this is one that I have done a shitty job with. I wish I would have done a ton better. I still have opportunity to grow in this area, all of them actually, but this one for real. And that's just really building a supportive network. Don't go at this thing alone. I have gone at things alone. Like my mantra is like one man band kind of song. You guys have heard the song One Man Band. But don't go at it alone. Surround yourself with mentors, peers, team members who can offer different perspectives on the pain you may be experiencing. Now, I pause there because there's got to be a certain point of intuition and a certain point of view. I think God gives all of us the answers to the test. We've got them all, and sometimes we go too much to lean on what everyone thinks. And this is I do that. Sometimes I can't even make a decision in my own brain when I'm really uh, when I'm really frazzled, and I got to work on that. I got the answer. I may not like the answer. I may not like the confrontation I have to deal with, or the set of circumstances that I'm going to have to go forward with. But I don't necessarily need to bounce it off 17 people. But I do think that if you have mentors or team members you respect, they do offer different perspectives with the pain you're experiencing. Some may have gone through it themselves, or some may have not, but give you a different perspective. But a supportive network, I think, can really provide advice, encouragement, and sometimes the tough love needed to push through the challenging times. So I think, moreover, you know, being there for others in their times of struggle can reinforce your ability to cope and creating, kind of a communal strength that benefits everyone that's involved. But overcoming the pain, man, it's not a matter of a simple endurance, right? It's not like a quick fix. Sometimes you gotta push through it. That's why we have all these points to go through to process it, but it's about using the experience as a powerful force, personal and professional evaluation. Like, we're trying to expand. We're trying to have expansion. We're trying to get better. We're trying to shore up the gap from the assessments we should be doing on ourselves of where we're at with our body, our being, our balance, our spirituality, our relationships, our bank account. Where are we at? Where do we want to go? The difference is the gap, right? We need to assess that, right? But by acknowledging the pain and adopting a growth mindset, strategically pivoting and building a strong network, you can turn these challenges that are causing you discomfort. And I really believe you can really turn them into some of your greatest victories. Look, if you like what you've heard, do me a favor, share it with somebody, share it with some of your boys, share it with some of your team members, share it with some of your sales reps. I have got tons of business, like s- phenomenal podcast material that I from my own experience of business acquisition, driving sales and revenue, sales training and teaching and coaching. I think there's a lot of key things, but I want to tell you from the core of who I am, if we don't learn to lead ourselves, you'll never lead somebody else. And every single one of you listening is a leader. You're either a father, you're a business owner, you're either an uncle, you are a leader to someone, and everyone's watching. And from my own personal experience, I have shown many people how not to lead the right way many times. I have made boneheaded, stupid ass decisions that I regret. On the flip side, man, I have crushed it. I have absolutely smashed it and have shown some high quality leadership moves that I'm trying to maintain and have consistency. But it's going to require my expansion. It's going to require my focus. And again, as I leave you today, I encourage you, continue to be on that quest. Don't give up. I don't care where you're at in your marriage, in your business, in your sales quota. Don't stop. Keep moving forward. And again, this is Louie Herron. I look forward to catching you on the next podcast.